Hi everyone, I'm Dom Griffin, I'm a film critic, and you're watching the Armchair Auteur. This is an ongoing video series I do where we talk about new movies, old movies, sometimes television, and screenplay analysis and that sort of thing. So if you like movies and film culture and see people pick it apart, please consider subscribing. Today's video is going to be less like an actual review than it is sort of like a loose rant about the ending of Season 2 of The Mandalorian on Disney+. I'm hesitant to call it an actual review because, well, like, it's not, and also because I'm not going to really be like deeply analyzing the show or like trying to like pick it apart the way I would other stuff. I just kind of want to like talk about my feelings about it and the reception it's been getting. Because as much as I want to not care, I feel like weirdly invested into this like kind of weird moment the Star Wars brand finds itself in pop culture. I've never done a Star Wars themed video on the channel before, like ever. I've never reviewed any of the movies since they've come out, and I'm aware that a person's particular specific feelings about Star Wars films in general is like a really good way for a viewer to calibrate their opinions against a critic's opinions and see how much they have in common. So I'll run through this very quickly. The best Star Wars movie is A New Hope. If we lived in a world where it was the only Star Wars movie ever made, we'd probably live in a happier place. But Empire is dope. The opening and closing of Return of the Jedi are dope. I have soft spots for parts of the prequels. I love The Last Jedi, and it might be my favorite Star Wars movie, even if it's not the best. And Force Awakens is like nice or whatever. Rise of Skywalker was dog shit. Rogue One is cool. Solo was not as bad as everyone says. The only animated series I've ever seen were the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars shorts, but all the Filoniverse stuff seems nice too. Yeah. All that said, I like The Mandalorian. I enjoy watching the show. I've seen both seasons in their entirety, like I dug them. But I still feel like the show is a strange pop cultural entity, and the place it takes in culture at the moment is very odd to me. I should start off by saying that I am not someone who is really heavily into prestige television. I get very burnt out on the types of shows that have been like du jour for the last like several years, where every TV show is trying to be like a great brilliant novel or whatever, and you have to watch several seasons and there's like a big overarching storyline. Like, I like a lot of those shows, but I'm not like into them. I don't like rewatch them. Like, I don't really care as much. I sort of really am drawn to more throwback stuff and shows that are like one basic adventure every week. You know what I mean? Like I mean, if they made like a new version of Airwolf, I would probably watch that every week. I like that kind of vibe. On most days, I feel like I like that kind of vibe a lot more than I do a show that's just trying to be like The Sopranos, but like worse. This season of The Mandalorian became sort of my favorite smooth brain pastime, if you will.
Smooth. No winkles.
Because at the end of the week, I'm mentally worn out from creating content. It's nice to throw something on that I don't have to analyze or think about, and for me, Mando is that. I don't really care about anything that happens in it, but I like Pedro Pascal's voice, and I like looking at the baby Yoda, and no, I'm never gonna fucking call him Grogu. I don't care. Being a critic, it's like important for me to occasionally have things I can watch that are fun and that stimulate me on some level, but do not need to be picked and prodded apart or analyzed. Like, it's kind of nice to occasionally have like a break, because otherwise watching movies and television shows and reading starts to feel kind of like work. So all that said, why am I ruining that for myself by even making this video? Well, I'm genuinely really shocked at the emotional responses I have seen from viewers of the finale online, and I just kind of want to like vent about it, I guess. You have to understand something about me. I am a huge fucking geek. I'm a total nerd. Like, I literally learned to read as a child from looking at Chris Claremont X-Men back issues. Like, I've been into all this shit like my entire life. Like, it's just like who I am, okay? I know that sometimes in my videos I probably come off as something of a snob because like I'm in a lot of artsy shit or whatever, but at my core, I'm like a guy who just like likes laser guns and stuff like that. But watching the finale, when there was a scene where WWE SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks hits a fucking tornado DDT on motherfucking Boba Fett, I felt absolutely nothing. Now, it's likely that's because I'm just really jaded, and like I just, you know, I think being a critic and like watching stuff the way I watch stuff, like on some level, I've ruined the part of my brain that is easily entertained. I think I've destroyed the part of myself that like gets excited when he sees the Millennium Falcon, you know, sight unseen. Like, I think that part of me is maybe dead, and like I have to sort of accept that as I get older. But I do think there's something fundamentally wrong with the show and the approach Disney has to making IP beyond my own personal iniquities. Like, at first, I thought it was the proliferation of guest stars in this new season and the oppressive bukkake of fan service moments. Like, I understand that now Mando's primary goal as a show is to move forward with the MCUification of the Star Wars brand, turning everything more episodic, making every chapter and installment a backdoor pilot to a future movie or streaming series. Like, I get it. People love that shit. I'm very unfortunately used to that being the predominant way that mainstream stories are being told, especially coming from major studios. That seems to be what works for the House of Mouse, and you know what? More power to them. I thought maybe it was just me being really annoyed at the Luke cameo and how shitty it looked and how Mark Hamill didn't even fucking sound like himself and how angry I was when I saw Kevin Smith tweet a picture of himself teary-eyed from seeing this corny Deus Ex Machina bullshit. But then I realized like that wasn't really it either. Like, I'm unfortunately very used to this modern iteration of fandom psychology where people aren't really being moved by stories anymore, but by the mere recognition of pop culture signifiers. signifiers, even when they aren't genuinely aware of them. Like, there are so many MCU fans who pop when a character they don't recognize comes on screen. Not because the story has genuinely earned that response or because they grew up reading comics and already have a connection to that character, but because they've already obsessively read Wikipedia entries about all these properties and saw a leaked set report about the casting for the cameo before it ever came in front of them. It's not the stories anymore for a lot of people. It's the idea of these stories. It's the mutually agreed upon acknowledgement that these are adaptations of things other people like, and if you like that thing, you like any new thing that comes out of it, even if you feel more emotional investment in the pajamas and Funkos and branded cereal boxes than you do the stories themselves. But that wasn't quite it either. What really got me about the finale is how even though Mando is an obviously expensive and well-produced show, this season in particular is seriously lacking in texture. Like, look, I can accept that Disney's first and foremost concern is selling toys and video game tie-ins and shit like that, but even the sequel trilogy, as flawed as it was, had that shot on film, real set grit to it. Everything looks kinda real and lived in. There's a grain, a rough-hewn quality cutting through the CGI and unreality. But look at Boba Fett. He looks like a literal fucking walking toy. The show is feeling more and more like a thrown-together melange of Star Wars ephemera and moving further from capturing the actual spirit of why the Star Wars films are so emotionally resonant. I didn't have the time to really rewatch the original trilogy like I was sort of hankering to do, but I did re-listen to this Dave Filoni rant defending the prequels and talking about the Duel of the Fates scene from Phantom Menace, and it led me to rewatching a few key scenes, like Darth Vader's face turn at the end of Return of the Jedi and how fucking great those moments are, even watching them out of context. And I think the closest something like Mando gets to that kind of heart is the final scene with Mando and the baby, this touching, heartfelt moment that is actually the emotional climax of 2 seasons of television, and how everyone who watched it wouldn't shut the fuck up about Mark Hamill being awkwardly Irishman into the background of it. And it made me realize, even if people like Jon Favreau and the whole team want to build moments like that, it's the cheesy fan service shit everyone has been desensitized to actually giving a shit about, so it'll continue rattling around in an echo chamber, diminishing returns be damned. All that said, I'm probably still gonna keep watching this shit. I'll watch The Bad Batch, or I'll probably watch, the fucking Cassian Andor. I'll watch all this stuff, okay? Like, when it comes out, I'll watch it probably. I still like having sort of a fun, genre-based thing I can watch at the end of the week that I don't have to think about too much. I like being able to sort of turn my brain off. I just wish turning my brain off didn't also have to come in tandem with ignoring my emotional need for stories to actually mean something to me. So yeah, those are my feelings about The Mandalorian. I think it's a fun show. I'll probably keep watching it. Like, every season's 8 episodes. That's actually kind of the sweet spot for me. I like the baby, okay? I think the baby's great. I just hope that in the ongoing MCUification of the Star Wars brand and trying to retcon stuff and fit in with the sequel timeline and all this shit, I just hope they don't lose sight of making these stories matter and feel like they are about something useful and not just plucking you over the head with fucking, oh look, it's the fucking chick with the white lightsaber, and oh look, here's fucking Boba Fett. I hope we get more than that. I hope you guys like this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you have anything to say about this subject of Star Wars, please do so in the comments. If you just want to call me a cuck for The Last Jedi or whatever, you can do that, but I actually might just ignore you. But anything else you want to talk about, I'm totally down to do in the comments below. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the little bell icon to get notifications when I put out new videos. I hope everyone's staying safe, being good to yourselves and each other, wearing your masks, all that jazz. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.